Hi BookTube, my name is Maggie, and today we're doing a collective winter book haul. This video is coming to you in two parts, the first being books I've received as gifts or from authors, and the second being books that I've bought myself over the last 3 months. So without further ado, let's get started. The first book I have to show you is Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. Now this is the new hardcover edition that matches the subsequent books in this hard fantasy series. This was a giveaway prize from Emily at Emily Speaks. She's a Canadian-based, super funny, super quirky booktuber, and I'll leave her link in the down bar. Up next, I have Air Fire, book 3 of the Throne of Glass 6-book series. Currently, there are 4 books out, books 1, 2, 3, and a gorgeous novella. The next book I have to show you is Thin Space by Jodi Casella. This was sent to me by the author with the help of Rachel from Ray Books, and it's totally signed with a bookmark. The book follows the story of a boy named Marshall, who after losing his twin brother to a car accident, decided to devote his life to finding a thin space. A thin space is a barrier between 2 parallel universes thin enough for a person to step through. The next book I have to show you is Servants of the Storm by Delilah S. Dawson. This book was also sent to me by the author with the help of Rachel from Ray Books, links in the down bar. She also sent me some book swag, 2 bookmarks, and a cool temporary tattoo in the theme of Servants of the Storm. Now let's talk about this cover. I think it's creepy in that it captures the essence of the story perfectly. I'm about 80 to 90 pages in the book, and so far I'm really loving it. It's creepy, it's giving me goosebumps, it's perfect for any horror-loving book reader. The next 3 books I have to show you are gifts from my best friend, the first being The Iron Child by Holly Black and Cassandra Clare. As you can see, I love reading Cassandra Clare's work. I think she has a beautiful writing style, and she has many swoon-worthy characters. This is the first book in the Magisterium series, a 5-book story intended for a middle grade audience, but who says we can't read them? This is my first co-authored book since the Bailey School Kids, and I'm very interested to see how 2 authors with fairly distinctive writing styles would be able to mix and match their work into a final masterpiece. If I recall correctly, the story follows Callum, who is a wizard or some form of magic caster, and his journeys in the School of Magic. I've been told that this is kind of similar to the Harry Potter series, but I am totally open to giving this a new outlook. Up next is something I am super excited for, and that is The Shadowhunters Codex by Cassandra Clare and her husband, Joshua Lewis. This is the collector's edition, and to be honest, I think it's a little bit overpriced. It's almost $60, but it's not very different from the classical edition. The only major difference is that it comes in this slipcase as opposed to the normal dust jackets. And overall, the slipcase is very well made, it's very sturdy, made from this waxy material that's very soothing to the touch. On your bookshelf, it almost looks antique. The book inside is nearly identical to the regular edition. The cover comes in this nice, waxy midnight blue color, and the title is printed neatly in gold at the side. The only exception lies in the golden deckled edges near the sides, and this yellow ribbon as bookmark. The inside cover is absolutely spectacular. Here you have this gorgeous, gorgeous picture of the Mortal Instruments gang with Clary and Jace, and the back gives you a picture of the Infernal Devices characters, Tessa, Will, and Jem. The content inside is identical to any edition. I've made some good progress reading the book, in particular the side notes left behind by Simon, Jason, Clary. I also really love the illustrations that Clary has drawn in. It represents a rich Shadowhunter history, as well as some quirky pictures from the Mortal Instruments. The last book of the gift section is Blood of Olympus by Rick Riordan. This is the 5th and final book to the Heroes of Olympus series, a spin-off of the original Percy Jackson and the Olympians. I've been a part of Percy's world and Rick's writing for about 7 years, and even now I don't know how to say goodbye to this seriously hilarious world. The next part of the video will be books that I've bought for myself, the first being a few books I purchased off of Book Outlet during their Black Friday sale. Up first is the Precious Stones Ruby Red trilogy by Kristen Gear. These books were first written in German and then translated into their English counterpart. The first book is Ruby Red, the second Sapphire Blue, and the last Emerald Green. These are in the traditional older editions that I prefer over the new paperback ones that have a more modern outlook. The entire story happens over a course of 2 to 3 weeks. It follows Gwen, a 16-year-old girl who finds herself in the midst of a secret society of time travelers. I've heard that there is some insta-love involved in the series, but overall, it's well perceived to be a good time travel / historical fiction story. The next book is Ignite Me by Tahara Mafi. This is the third book to the Shadow Me trilogy, which I have not started, but I do intend to collect the first and second book to the series so I can finally jump on this hype train. The next book is The Winner's Curse by Marie Rutkowski. I'm about 100 pages in, and so far I'm not super intrigued. I feel like this is one of those books that's been hyped up by BookTube so much that my expectations are just too high. So far, we've been introduced to the main character, who is the daughter of a very famous general. She purchases a slave off the market for a price far too high, and I believe that she will end up falling in love with him. Up next is Siege and Storm by Leigh Bardugo. This is book 2 in the Grisha trilogy, which I intend to start reading once I collect book 1 and book 3. Up next, we have Eleanor Park by Rainbow Rowell. My copy came with this very irksome sticker residue that I just can't seem to get off. I basically read the book the day I got the package, and I found the ending strangely satisfying, but it did lack that wow factor I was expecting. Once again, something that BookTube hyped up, but I'm not complaining because it did introduce me to a very, very good contemporary read. I feel like the entire world has read this, so I will not give a synopsis, but if you would like to hear my thoughts, please let me know in the comments down below. Up next, we have Sea of Shadows by Kelly Armstrong. She also wrote the Darkest Powers trilogy, beginning with The Summoning, followed by The Awakening. I've had these books for ages. I have not started them, but I do intend to get to them at some point, although realistically it won't be anytime soon. Now let's move on to some books that I purchased at Indigo, which is the Canadian equivalent to the American Barnes & Noble. The first book is Reboot by Amy Tantara. This is the first book in what I believe will be a trilogy, and it follows the story of Wen and Calum, who are reboots. Reboots are like zombies who after death quickly come back to life, and the logic goes that the longer you've been dead, the less emotional and the more inhumane you become once you revive. Wen just happens to be one of the reboots who's been dead the longest, and who is more robotic. And her love interest, Callum, is almost human, so I'm very interested to see how this will play out. The very last book that I have to show you is The Rosie Project. This is an adult book that follows the story of Dawn, who has a brilliant scientific mind, and a woman named Rosie, who is looking for her biological father. Dawn, who is looking to find his perfect wife, is helping Rosie find her biological father, and in the midst of it all, they end up falling in love. This seems to be a very different type of contemporary book compared to some of the YA fluff I've read in the past, but I'm still very excited to see how this one will turn out. And this is the end of my book haul video. Thanks for watching and see you next time.